Hi, I'm Beth Bieske, the founder of More Time to Design and your host of the Design Dialogues podcast. I've been a designer for the last 12 years and I've run my own studio for 5, and I know how hard it is to run a successful business. You not only need to be great at designing, but you need to be great at all the other things as well. I created More Time to Design, a software platform to help designers run efficient studios, and I've created the Design Dialogue podcast to help us all learn together. Each week, we will meet professionals who are at the top of their game doing things that help us run our studios. We'll have conversations with social media managers, interior design mentors, copywriters, stylists, photographers, suppliers, and also designers who have been in the game for a long time and who have such a wealth of knowledge to share. I hope that each week you feel inspired and informed at the end of each of our design dialogues. So join me for the Design Dialogue podcast. Hi, welcome to episode 4 of the Design Dialogues podcast. This is the first of my solo episodes. These solo episodes are a chance for you to get to know me a bit better. In these episodes, I'm going to share some valuable information I have learned from my years as a business owner and a general manager on how to run your business. But first, let me introduce myself and tell you a little of my business journey. So, like all good origin stories, mine is a bit of a winding road to how I landed here. When I first left school and went off to uni, I thought I was going to be a doctor and I studied science. As I was getting towards the end of that degree, I realised that really wasn't what I was going to do. But I didn't know what I wanted to do or what the next step was. And so to fill in some time and to just do something, I enrolled in a floristry course. This was so left field for me. Up until this point, I had never shown any interest whatsoever in anything creative. However, I loved the floristry course and I felt straight away that I had found my thing. So that floristry course led to working in a florist and then purchasing the florist shop, which as I think I was about 23 or 24 when I purchased the florist shop, sounds crazy. I look back at that and I think, what was I thinking? However, I purchased the florist shop with the help of my parents and we built the business. We then started a second store and I ran the florist business for about 8 years. And it was a really interesting time in my life. Like, floristry is one of those things, like I think most industries, that they look so glamorous on the outside, but when you're in them, they are hard work. It is such a physical job, and it's early mornings and it's setting up things when everyone else is having a good time. You're at work setting up the event. So it was a hard business, but I learned so much. I learned so many skills that I have come back to so many times. And so many of my business skills and the way I approach the business side of my studio comes from what I learned at the florist store. So after about 8 years, I realised that I was getting to the end of, I wasn't enjoying the floristry and the florist business anymore. But I knew I wanted to keep doing something creative. And so that's led me to studying interior design. And I studied at the Enmore Design Centre, which was just amazing. It was amazing going back as an older student and being able to immerse yourself in design and design thinking. And it was a really, I loved my time there. It was great. And while I was studying, I was very fortunate to get a job with one of Australia's just an amazing design studio, Blainey North. And I just wanted to kind of share how I got my job with Blainey, because I think sometimes you hear, student straight into an amazing role, but the way I got that job was I was reading an article in Vogue Living, and I was with, at the time I still had the florist business, and so I was next door with one of the other shop owners who was such a champion of just giving things a go. And I was reading this article, and I said to her, oh gosh, I'd love to work for someone like Blainey, like just her work, just amazing things. And she said, just email her, just give her a go and see what happens. And so I did. I emailed Blainey and I said, this is my story, could I come and work for you? And it took, I think it was maybe nearly 12 months from me sending that original email to me starting at Blainey's, where there was emails backwards and forwards, the timing wasn't quite right, but I kept in contact with her and I kept the conversation going, not in a weird stalkerish way, but I did keep the conversation going. And it meant that when she did have an opening that was appropriate, I was there at the forefront of her mind. So if you are possibly, career changing or, just starting out and you are thinking of going and working for someone, just stick at it. It might be a no that becomes a yes. So with my time at Blainey, I worked on some amazing projects, and a lot of my time at Blainey's was spent working on the furniture collection that she runs. And I had a lot to do with the running of that side of the business as well as the production side of it. And that was such an amazing experience. We were manufacturing offshore, and so I had to very quickly learn about how to bring large pieces of furniture in from overseas, but we were also shipping this furniture all over the world. So being able to run logistics as well as making sure that we were making profit on each piece, and the coordination of multiple factors was such a learning experience. And once again, adding to my experience in the florist and then onto this section with Blainey, just really building my business acumen. And so then from there, I moved to working for Blainey over to Greg Natali. And at Greg's, I was his general manager. And this is where I really honed all of my business skills that I have been learning through the florist and Blainey. And I ran alongside Greg his studio with, at the time I believe we had about 12 to 15 people. I mastered all of those skills that I had been building up over my time, and ran his studio alongside him to make sure that things were running smoothly, efficiently. We had our workflow running. We had the right staff allocated to jobs. We had client meetings booked in at the right time. And it really helped me see, even though it was kind of something that I knew, it really solidified for me that you can have the most amazing projects coming in the door and you can have the most amazing marketing strategies, but if you do not have your systems and processes in place and have the back end of your business running smoothly, none of the other stuff matters, because eventually what will happen is you will crash and burn. You will get to a point where you are just, it's such a shambles behind the scene that all the stuff at the front doesn't matter. And so from Greg's, while I was at Greg's, I had my first son, And it was at this point that I realised that I wanted to go out on my own. And that desire to work for myself had always kind of still been there way back from the florist days. I knew I wanted to get back to working for myself. And so when my son was 6 months old, I started my design studio, the Navy Edit. And this is where I put into practice so many things that I had learnt from my time at Greg's and with Blainey and from the florist store, and was really able to test and try different processes, different systems to make sure what I was doing was working efficiently, because as a mum and a solo practitioner, it was just me, I knew that for me to be as profitable as I needed to be, I needed to be working efficiently. And so from there, over the years with the Navy Edit, I've been kind of honing those skills and those systems and processes. And that has led to me starting More Time to Design, because I felt that there were things that I could be doing so much better. So even with all of my business experience, I felt I could be doing it better. And so that's with More Time to Design, I wanted to be able to run things as efficiently as possible, to take out as many friction points as possible in my design process, in my business process, so that I was maximizing the amount of time that I had to work on things that were generating income. So that's where all my experience comes from, and how I've gotten to this point where I know a lot about business systems and processes. So you might be asking, what does a general manager actually do in a design studio? And why do you need to think like one in your business? So a general manager in a design studio generally comes along, and they might not be called a general manager at first. They might be called an operations manager, or you might have like an admin manager. I would say that the admin manager or the general manager or the operations manager comes along at the point where the studio owner might have brought on 3 or 4 designers. They might have a bookkeeper or an accountant, and they might have maybe someone who helps out with some marketing. But they've gotten to the point where they're like, I'm so busy running the admin and making sure that we're, doing all the things we need to do, that I don't have time to really design. And quite often, it's not something they enjoy. This is when a larger design studio brings on this kind of general manager, operations manager person, and really helps the business owner drive those systems and processes. It's usually at this stage as well when it becomes very apparent that the systems and processes aren't as strong as they need to be. And this is so important for a strong, healthy business. So what exactly does a general manager do in a design studio? So sometimes I think the best way to think of this is a bit like a traffic cop, directing traffic in the studio and making sure that everything is running smoothly. Having the mindset of a general manager, even if it is just you on your own, is constantly thinking about the larger picture of your studio and thinking about the flow of work. For example, making sure you don't have too many client meetings scheduled in one week, so therefore you don't have too much preparation work in the weeks before, that everything else becomes impossible. But also making sure that you have the right client meetings booked in so that you can invoice as you need to and you are sticking to your invoicing timelines. which ultimately makes sure your cash flow is on track. So having that, kind of bird's eye overview of the studio means that it's not whoever calls up first gets booked in. There's a strategy and it's strategic. A general manager mindset means that you are looking at your systems and processes and running your business in a way that is logical, organized, calm, and coherent. Not scattergun and whatever is the most urgent issue is the one that gets done. Having this approach and mindset in your business, even if it is just you, is crucial to running a successful business. Why is it so important that you have your systems and processes in place? If you don't have your business systems running smoothly, then you are going to be wasting so much time in your business. Think about the admin tasks that you do for every project. Can you do them quickly and efficiently? Do you do them the same way for every project? If someone had to find the information for you, could they do that easily? Making sure that your systems and processes are in place and working well means that you're going to be able to work efficiently, and ultimately means you are going to have a more successful business in all ways, but most importantly, financially successful. So often I talk to designers and they feel their business is running them and they don't enjoy the business. Most of the time it is because the back end of the business, all these systems and processes, are a mess. Over the coming solo episodes, I will talk you through how to manage the business part of your business so that you never feel like the business is running you and that you can feel confident in your systems and processes. If you would like to see how More Time to Design can help with your systems and processes, feel free to reach out. I love to have a chat and I love to show you how your business can be a better business. It doesn't have to be an overwhelming task, and it really doesn't matter if you don't have any processes or systems in place at the moment. Thanks for joining me, and I hope you have enjoyed the episode. I would love for you to subscribe and leave a review so that others can find the podcast. I'll leave a link in the show notes to show you how to leave a review if you are unsure. Thank you once again for listening, and I look forward to seeing you for our next Design Dialogue. Thank you for listening to this Design Dialogue. I hope you have found it full of inspiration and helpful information to take into your design studio. To organise your day, your desk and your studio, make sure to sign up for your free 30-day trial of More Time to Design to see how it can transform your business. Follow the links in our show notes. If you would like to get in touch, please reach out on email at beth@moretimetodesign.com or on Instagram at more_time_to_design. I would also love it if you could rate and review this podcast, which help others find it. Follow the link in our show notes. Have a great week, and I will see you for our next Design Dialogue.